Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Breaking Bread with Lomas and Herman. Hey, we're here breaking down receivers for the Detroit Lions. We have Amon-Ra St. Brown today. We're gonna break them down. Lo, you asked me to break down the receivers, man.
I do.
So
I need the help. I need the help. I'm gonna be watching this young man on Sunday, so Herm's gonna give me a few tips, some things to watch for him. I want to see how he's gonna progress from training camp all the way through the first game of the season. So what do I need to be looking at, Herm?
Well, first thing I'm gonna tell you, I always try and look for when I'm looking at wide receivers is I want to look at how they come off the ball. The first thing is, are there false steps? Are they losing a little bit of motion before they get started? The other one is, how are they exploding off the ball and getting up the field and attacking that defensive back? Then the next thing I'm going to look at is also when they're in their routes, how are they dropping? What's their center of gravity? Also, where's their hand position when they're doing that? And are they tipping their route? So when I go through these, I'm going to walk through and we're going to go through Mr. St. Brown's routes, and I'll let you know what I see. So on the first one, he's going to run an in route, a real quick dig route. I'm assuming that's against like a man coverage because that's the only time you're going to speed inside underneath on a route like that. Coming in, he's flat. I want to see him stay flat. Now he's going to run the out route. Here, head position is good. Real quick upfield, getting in and out of his breaks and staying pretty smooth. We want to see him recognize where that sideline was on that one. But I know, again, this is just his pro day. Now the explosion into the curl route. Now, the curl route, I like everything about that route with the exception of a few things. One, at the top of that route is a lot of motion when he was dropping and he's throwing that arm. Those are key indicators for a seasoned defensive back to be able to drive on that player at that point. So you want to get him to be a little bit smoother, be straight in his route, and then to drop from his hips. And then just to get rid of a lot of the excessive arm swing and emotion, that's going to help him as a wide receiver. Now we're going to run the dig route. Again, on that dig route, he's running. The first thing I would notice as a player and I'm looking at him is that arm swings out. When he runs, I'm going to break opposite of that arm because when he does that, he's breaking in. And I noticed that on a lot of his clips. When he would run his routes, anytime he threw that arm out or he did that jab step, he went the opposite direction. So a defensive back's going to pick up on that, and they're going to be able to drive on him. So you want to work on not giving up your route. So here we're going to see a really nice one. Mm-hmm. He runs up the field. This is what we call a stem. He started inside, and that's to get the defensive back when he's backpedaling to have to adjust as I'm running forward up the field towards him. And then he straightens, then he's going to push that guy deeper, which is going to get the defensive back to either straighten or to have to turn his hips. And then from there, he's going to break out, and that allows him to break across the face of that defensive back who has to completely turn his body and get back underneath. The thing I would look for as a receiver is to say, how does he, one, come off the ball with that first step? The next one is, what's his drive phase up the field? And then when he comes out of that route, does he drop? Does he have to have any extra motion? Or does he have a nice, clean, smooth break with just a change of direction and a swivel of his hips? He did those things really well on that particular route against the air.
So, Herman, let me ask you this. When you say run up on the defensive back, you want to be closer to the defensive back, right? The closer you are, is that true?
That's true, and it all depends on his ability to close the cushion.
Okay.
There's a lot to be said about closing the cushion on a guy. A lot of that comes with speed. If you're a speed guy, you can close the cushion a lot faster. But, I wasn't a fast guy, but I was quick. So when you start in, that's just to get him to move off of his alignment. Okay. The second one is to push him to get him to back up as a defensive back. And then you want to keep pushing to make him think you're going. And then when you break right and left or wherever you're going to go, that's when you have to be able to do a nice tight turn, dropping at the hips or the center of gravity, but not tip your route with the arm swings or the excessive motion at the top of the route. When you learn that, a guy who was really good at that was Jerry Rice.
Yeah.
I mean, he was real smooth at being able to be smooth in and out of his breaks on his routes. And that's what made him, just such a great wide receiver. The explosiveness up the field. But see right there, that forward lean in, and he's dipping here. Those are things that can be cleaned up. So it's not to over critique him at this point as much as it is say, here are the things that I'm a receivers coach and I'm looking at him. I'm going, okay, I know right away some of the things I need to clean up to make sure that I'm going to give him the best position to be successful in terms of the guidance I'm going to give him. So when he's coming off the ball like that and he's exploding up the field, I'm seeing right now is the drop of his hips. I'm seeing the forward lean in his motion and getting rid of the excessive arm swing. Good corner route. You had a post corner up here, again, going and selling. But this is what's tough to teach a lot of these guys, a lot of wide receivers is they're coming in based on something they've done for 2 or 3 years. This is a 3-year start.
Right.
Now he's got to transition and get cleaned up on a few things. He's got to do it in a short period of time. He can do that. I think with Coach Randall, he's going to be able to work with him, especially being that he's a 6'1" guy, and you want to be able to work on his foot speed.
So what does he do well? What is it? We talking about what he's not doing. What does he do well?
Yeah, the things that I see that he does really, really well are these. He has explosiveness up the field. I also like the fact that when he comes in and out of it, he's strong. He looks strong getting in and out of it. I like the fact that he catches with his hands. Now, sometimes he has a tendency to let the ball get down here versus catching it at its high point. But I do see that he is trying to be really conscious about using his hand, what gives him that separation from the defensive back in the football. The other thing I did when I watched a lot of his film that I saw that was really good is his body control when he's in the air. I love the fact that when he would catch the ball at the high point, he could adjust midstream in the air, and having that type of body control is going to bode him well in the NFL because it's very rare that you're going to be by yourself. You're going to have to be able to come up and be able to attack and battle against a defensive back. And the final thing I liked about him was the fact that he was just a playmaker. He was a guy who ran a lot of the tree. He comes from the slot position, which means that he's going to be running dig routes. He's going to be running underneath. He's running reverses. He's going to be running up the seam. He's running corner route. He's also running post routes from inside of the slot, attacking the safety. So this is a player that I think is going to provide different variations of where he can play within the offense, but you can move him around. And also he has the size to not be so stuck as just a slot receiver that he can play also from the outside in.
So what's going to be one of his biggest adjustments from a college quarterback to a pro quarterback? What's one of the big adjustments that you had to make?
Well, the biggest one is the timing. We talk about the speed of the game, but also the decision-making of the quarterbacks happen a lot faster here. The anticipation of the break is going to happen a lot faster than typically what you'll see sometimes in college. Also, the physical side of the fact that you got linebackers that can run with you. These are guys that it's not about just beating the defensive back and then maybe you get a matchup problem against a linebacker. It's not the case. Linebackers, they are very physical now. They're just bigger versions of safety. So when I see him, I go, he's going to have to be physical. We've seen his blocking ability. He does like to block on the outside. So I like everything about him. I think they're going to have to shape him up, have to refine some things about him. But outside of that, I really like the ability that he brings, not just saying that because I'm a wide receiver or I'm trying to get all the Lion fans up and going about this, but I'm saying this is a player that I think brings something to the table. I like the fact that he has really good hands.